The Benetton B194 will forever be remembered as the car that took Michael Schumacher to his first World Championship. The Pacific PR01, if it gets remembered at all, was the car that only qualified 7 times in the same season and never reached the end of a Grand Prix. Yet these cars came from the same origins, which can be traced back to Reynard's failed attempt to get on the F1 grid for 1992. Members of the Reynard design team in 1991 included Rory Byrne and Pat Symonds, who were senior enough in the project to own the intellectual property to the design and took it with them when they moved to Benetton. That formed the basis of Benetton's 1992 car, which was evolved for 93 and then turned into the title contending machine Schumacher would have at his disposal for 94. At this point, British team Pacific made the step up from F3000 to F1 with a car that could be described as a low-resolution version of the Benetton. Why? Because the team had bought Reynard's original design that was now 3 years old. Pacific's lack of resources meant it couldn't hope to bring the concept up to the required standard for 1994, and the PR01 was woefully off the pace. With 14 teams vying for the 26 spots on the grid that season, Pacific regularly missed out, and it didn't qualify for another race that year after the Canadian Grand Prix in June. Symonds believes the Reynard design gave Pacific the makings of a good car, but the small team lacked resources or the understanding to do anything with it. The result was the PR01 competing exactly as originally designed at Reynard, without the benefit of a major wind tunnel program or the crucial vehicle dynamics know-how that got the most out of it at Benetton. One of the clearest examples of the common ancestry of the two cars are their high noses, which were yet to become the norm in F1 by 94, and the boxy side pods, a trademark of 1990s Benettons. And while the similarity in their design is obvious from certain angles, what's also clear is how much more refined the Benetton looks due to the development that went on between 92 and 94. As Symonds explains, today in F1 you could give someone the designs of the Mercedes, but that doesn't mean they will know how to get it working to the same level as the team that created it. And you'd want their engine as well. If an undercooked 3-year-old chassis design wasn't difficult enough to get on the pace, Pacific was also running with 1993 spec Ilmore power, last seen in the Saubers before an upgrade arrived for that year's Italian Grand Prix. While Benetton's high nose philosophy would be copied by everyone on the grid in the years that followed, by the end of 1994 Pacific had switched to a low nose, and the following year it designed an all-new car that was slightly closer to the pace. Schumacher and Benetton romped to more title success in 1995, while at the end of the year Pacific withdrew from F1 after 2 years as a forgettable backmarker. As for Reynard, it entered IndyCar racing in 1994 as a chassis supplier, winning on its debut with Michael Andretti. A year later it claimed the first of 7 championships, along with victory in the Indy 500 with Jacques Villeneuve. The company would finally get to try its hand at F1 in 1999 as a founding partner of British-American racing, although it endured a baptism of fire as the team failed to score a point in its first season. And here's a little known fact. Today, Reynard is still the landlord of the site where the Mercedes F1 factory is based in Brackley.